All right, it's time to look about the angle addition postulate. So in its definition, we're going to be adding angles, and a postulate is just another name for a rule. Okay, so with the angle addition postulate, I'm first going to add this angle right here. So I would say angle AOB, and if I add that angle to the one below it, BOC, okay, that should equal the whole entire angle, and so the whole entire angle put together is AOC. Okay, and so you basically use this rule of the small plus the small equals the whole, so part plus part is the whole, to do some algebra with angles, okay? So if me telling you that feels you free to do this whole page without me, please feel free to do that. Otherwise, listen ahead. So example of number 1, they gave me some stuff to read. So I have the measure, the little m means measure, so I have the measure of HIS. So HIS, so I know that, or find that measure, so I'm going to call it X. If I know HIJ, so I know the whole entire thing is 157 degrees. So all of that together is 157 degrees. And the measure of SIJ, so this angle right here, is 33 degrees. What would be XB? Okay, so I've got my two parts. So a small part plus another small part is going to equal the whole thing. And then you just solve. Okay, so you would subtract 33 from both sides, and I would get 24. Now in angles, everything is measured in degrees, so you would say 24 degrees, 124 degrees. Okay, and we could check our answer and say 124 plus 33 to make sure we were 100% right. Okay, that's all it is. Let's add some more difficulty. So I know the measure of ABD. I know the whole thing is 79 degrees. And then I want to know what's the measure of ABC and then the measure of DBC. So first off, I have to find X and then substitute it back in to figure out what those measurements are. So I'm going to set up an equation. So the first part, let's say 5x plus 4, plus my second part will be 8x minus 3, is going to equal my whole thing of 79. And then you get to do your favorite part of algebra and combine like terms and solve multi-step equations. Okay? So you don't have to show all your work. If you want to, go for it. You've got 13x plus 1 equals 79. Subtract 1. You would get 78. Divide by 13. You would get 6. Okay? Most common mistake is people stop right there, but it did not want me to find X. It wanted me to find the measure of ABC and DBC. So I've got to plug it back in, substitute it in. So ABC, I would plug it into this one. And so I would substitute with parentheses and evaluate that out. 6 times 8 is 48. 48 minus 3 would be 45. So I've got ABC is 45. Then I'm going to plug it into my other angle and do 5 times 6, 30, and then plus 4, 34. So then DBC is 34 degrees. Okay, I could double check my answer and say, hey, 45 plus 34 does give me my original of 79 degrees, and so I know I'm 100% right. Okay, so in geometry, you can 100% check your work, which makes some people feel great. All right. I hope I did not lose you. If you have a question, please let me know. All right. The rest of these, you have to know your vocabulary to help you solve it, because they didn't tell me what the whole entire angle measurements were. So looking at number 3, I need to figure out what the relationship is between 2x and 54. Hopefully you see 2 V's, and so you would say, hey, those are vertical angles. I know vertical angles are congruent, which means I set things equal. And so I know 2x should equal 54. Okay, so we're going to divide 54 by 2 to get x is 27. Okay, and I solved for my missing variable and I'm done. Again, if you want to try these on your own, go for it and press pause. But number 4, our vocabulary would be complementary. I know complementary angles are two angles that add up to 90. So this box right here represents 90 degrees. So if you wanted to set up an equation, it would be b plus 63 equals 90. Or if you could just do 90 minus 63 in your head, you can go for it that way to also get b is going to be 27. Okay. Lastly, number 5 could be two things. It could be a linear pair or it could be supplementary. But I know linear pair sounds like line, and I know lines equal 180 degrees. And so I would set up an equation to solve for 180 degrees. So one way is to say 51 plus 5x plus 4 equals 180 degrees. Solve that out, etc. There's actually another way you could do this problem. If you know this is 51, you could try and figure out how much this is. And we know lines are 180. So 180 minus 51 would be 129. So I know that problem, or the angle on the right side, has to be 129 degrees. So I could set up a shorter equation and say 5x plus 4, I know it has to be 129 degrees, and you've actually got a shorter equation to solve. So it's kind of up to you what you would prefer to do, but you eventually get 5x equals 125, and you would get x is 25. So on lots of these problems, there are multiple ways to solve. It's kind of how your brain wants to do them at all. So I gave you a new problem, mainly because on the scavenger hunt, people have gotten confused. So on this new problem, you've got two angles. They're adjacent. I don't know if they're right. It doesn't tell me if they're a right angle, but it does give me these marks right here. And these marks, since they're the same, it means they're congruent. If I know things are congruent, that means they're equal. And so if things are equal, they're going to be set equal to each other. So for example, I would have negative 4p minus 1. That needs to equal the other angle of negative 2p plus 13. Okay? So then I've got a variables on both side problem that you can solve 4 different ways. I like to move my variables to the left side. So I get negative 2p minus 1 equals 13. Add 1. Negative 2p equals 14. So p would equal negative 7. Okay? You should freak out because you got a negative, right? Oh no, you can't have negative angles. But if you plug it back in and get a positive number, we're good. So negative 4 times negative 7, and then subtract 1. Good thing is I know 2 negatives make a positive. So 7 times 4 would be 28. 28 minus 1 is 27. So basically each one of those angles would be 27 degrees. Okay? So if you see those little congruent marks, that means they are equal. And that actually means that this line bisected them. It cut it in half into 2 equal parts. Okay? So that is the angle addition postulate. Pretty much you're going to set things equal to 90, equal to themselves, or equal to 180. Or they're going to tell you what to set it equal to. Okay? So you can say it's going to equal 90. It's going to equal 180. They're going to be equal to each other. Or they're going to tell you. Okay? So all geometry is setting things equal to 90, 180, or they will tell you. Okay? So thanks for watching. Go ahead and practice the angle addition postulate.